Hi everyone, Brett here from the Proto team back with another Proto Tech Tip. For today's video, we're going to cover what factors contribute to the weight of your custom enclosure and how you can estimate the weight ahead of time. When designing your custom enclosures, you have a lot of different factors to consider. One of the biggest factors to keep in the front of your mind that is often overlooked is the weight of your enclosure. The weight of your enclosure can affect many things, particularly the final cost, your ability to use it as intended, which is dependent upon what you need it for, and if it will fit where you need it without issue. So now you're probably wondering what elements contribute to the weight of your enclosure. Well, that's the goal of today's video. The main contributor to the weight of your enclosure is, of course, the material that you've selected. Choosing the right material for your unique project can sometimes be a challenge all on its own. That's because this decision is dependent on a few things, like the application of the enclosure, how price conscious you are, and the environment your enclosure will be utilized in. The application of your enclosure will play a big role in your choice of material. As an example, some of our clients create custom enclosures for taking measurements out in the field, which means they are routinely moved from spot to spot. In most cases for this scenario, the lighter the enclosure, the better. However, picking a lighter material may also mean picking one that is a little bit weaker, which could lead to some dings and dents. So be sure to think ahead when assessing the intended weight and usage of your design. Aluminum is the most lightweight option we offer, followed by cold-rolled steel and galvanneal, with stainless steel being our heaviest. If you're price conscious, then you have to be a little more selective in the material you choose, while remembering that you still have to consider these other factors. With our in-stock options, cold-rolled steel and aluminum are the most economical, with stainless steel being our most expensive and galvanneal landing right in the middle. The last thing to consider when selecting the right material for your enclosure is the environment it'll be used in. For instance, cold-rolled steel is not ideal for wet environments, and is the least corrosion-resistant metal we carry. Stainless steel is the most inherently corrosion resistant, whereas aluminum offers up some corrosion resistance, but not quite as much as stainless steel, while galvanneal will remain corrosion resistant so long as the coating remains intact. Ultimately, we wanted to highlight that it's not as simple as picking the lightest one because it's the lightest, or the most expensive option because it's the premium choice, and so on. We want you to always be sure to consider the application, your budget, and the environment your enclosure will be used in before it's too late. Now pivoting back to the specifics of the material you're considering for your design. When it comes to choosing the gauge of the material that is the right fit for your design, it is important to note that the thickness of the material being used will change to reflect that decision. The reason we want to mention this is because the thicker the material, the more it's going to weigh. Thankfully, our website is jam-packed with tables that will clearly outline the shifts in thickness based on the change in gauge per material. So be sure to give those a look through before making your final decision. This isn't the only resource we have to help guide you along either. Did you know in Proto Designer you can quickly get a general weight calculation for your design? Though it is important we emphasize the fact that it is simply an estimate, so it will not be 100% accurate. However, it should give you a fairly good idea of what your finished enclosure will weigh. So, how does this tool work? The Calculate Weight feature works by a combination of calculating the volume of the sheet metal along with all the hardware inside the enclosure and then multiplying that by the density of the metal. The weight in the dialog box will be displayed in either pounds or kilograms based on the units of measurement you have selected. Through recent updates, it is now able to calculate the weight of almost everything in Designer, including metal, self-clinching fasteners, hardware, handles, drawer slides, die-cast enclosures, and even extruded aluminum sides. An added bonus is the fact that if you place custom cutouts in your design, the tool should now be able to correctly calculate the reduction in weight as well. However, this tool will not calculate the weight of any imported 3D step files. This will be any component you've imported into Proto Designer. The software will then highlight these imported components in your design in pink. It will also not calculate the weight of any paint you've added to your design. The final thing to consider would be the weight of what you'll be putting inside your fully finished custom enclosure. It's best to have at least some idea of the weight of those components and how you plan to distribute that weight. For instance, if you choose to go with aluminum for your design, but plan on having a heavier component located in the center, then you may want to go with a different material because your aluminum enclosure might flex or warp. To bring everything to a close, we simply wanted to highlight the importance of calculating the weight of your enclosure as best you can before it reaches your hands. If you fail to do so, it can lead to some serious issues. It may be too heavy or weak for the job it's meant to be used for, and this could lead to injury or severe damage to the enclosure. Perhaps it may cost far more than necessary, which affects your budget, or depending on where you store it, it could cause serious issues there as well. The key defining factor of this being the material you choose, along with the gauge you wish to go with. These decisions come with their own pathways, like the application of the enclosure, how budget conscious you are, and the environment the enclosure will be in. Thankfully, you're not alone, as we have multiple resources like tables on our website or the weight estimation tool in ProtoCase Designer that can give you a rough calculation on the fly. At ProtoCase, our mission is to help you streamline your workflow. We want to get you your fully finished custom enclosures as quickly as possible so that you can meet your critical deadlines. We've got more resources and videos linked below, so be sure to check them out and let us know if you have any other questions. Thanks for watching this week's Proto Tech Tip. See you back here next week.